Earlier this year, Brian McKeiver and I had a conversation about Xperience by Kentico's roadmap. Brian has a lot to say about this topic because he's a longstanding Kentico MVP and co-owner at BizStream, a Kentico Gold Partner digital agency. We covered a variety of topics related to Xperience's roadmap, like which features Brian is most excited for, how he uses the roadmap at BizStream to strategize solutions for his clients, and how easy it is to evolve an Xperience by Kentico solution over time as the roadmap features are delivered to customers. It's worth noting that all of the features Brian was excited about have been released in the product. And I think this really validates our commitment to our roadmap and our incremental approach to enabling our customers. This conversation has aged extremely well. It's packed with advice that still resonates, and it will help you understand Xperience by Kentico and our roadmap. Let's jump over to the conversation. Which new capabilities that we're going to be releasing are you most excited about, or even what are some that we've recently released that you were looking forward to and see as something that's really powerful for the types of projects that you're working on?
Yeah, well, and actually, even just as a whole, like the comment about being excited, I couldn't tell you how accurate that is. I've been using the new Xperience by Kentico platform for about a year and a half now, with your help and some of the product team's help, in kind of a beta format, and now as it's released into the world as a flagship product for Kentico, and I am excited about it. Is the short way to answer all of this, because it is a modern platform. It's fast to use. It's a great developer experience. The tooling is top notch, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air. Is I've been saying that all the way back since the last conference in Nashville, because it's just a joy to work with. And the difference is stark in comparison to other platforms that we use and have used in the past. I think it's probably the best version of Kentico there's ever been. I'm excited about how the methodology is now different. It's no longer kind of that one big release a year where those were the new features come in, and maybe a smaller thing is added here and there. But as you said, it's now this like monthly cadence. It's updated constantly. There's new features being added. We've seen things even like the reusable field schema that came in about a month ago on the latest refresh. That's an exciting feature. But I'll try to more directly answer your question. So the things that are upcoming that have me excited in the short term are the Azure AI search integration. It's something that we have a lot of experience with at BizStream. We implement it often. It used to be called Azure Cognitive Search, but now it's been renamed to Azure AI Search. And having the project out there that I know you guys are working on, and like literally it's I think February maybe when we can get our hands onto it.
Yeah.
That I want to see that in the product, because it extends like the native search that's been there and the Algolia search that's been there, but now into the world that I get to work in every day, because we do a lot of Azure at BizStream. So that one I'm literally waiting to implement my own blog, which is in Xperience by Kentico now. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to see, kind of how it's different, how it's been implemented, understand, can it use some of the new AI capabilities that Microsoft has with AI search. So that one in the short term has me kind of the most excited. And I'm hoping that it's kind of something that we can then just parlay right into our customer solutions that we're building for them. Because it's been a differentiator in my mind when it comes to providing good search. That's what you want to use Azure Search for.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Very excited for that.
Yeah. Would you say it's a good kind of middle ground of capabilities, but also managing cost? Because Algolia, right. I've used it in the past, and wow, it's an impressive service. But there might be, depending on your needs, there might be a price tag that comes along with that. And Azure Search is kind of a predictable pricing and a predictable set of capabilities.
Yeah. In fact, we have a lot of customers that use Kentico today that ask me that exact question, Sean. Like, hey, what's the difference between, the local search, the Azure search, and the Algolia search? And when you're looking at the differences of in terms of cost structure, that's a big one. So the way I explain to people is Azure AI search has that predictable resource-based cost, and you can scale that up or down, and it's up to you. But it's a flat rate that you can basically expect to spend a couple $100 a month to get started with it, and it's this kind of consistent pricing model, right?
Yeah.
Algolia is different. It is a consumption-based price model, and if you have a spike in traffic, you have a ton of new search activity that you weren't planning for, you can actually spend more than you were budgeting for pretty quickly. And there's some benefits to that because they're like you said, it's a fantastic type of search solution, and it does things a little differently, and it has, I think, like different analytics tied to it, and it's a little bit more marketing friendly. So like you got to weigh those pros and cons, but yeah, definitely it's important to think about when a cost structure. And I would agree that Azure AI Search with Xperience by Kentico, it's definitely a high value to kind of low to mid cost solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's short term, right? Long term, there's some bigger things out on the roadmap that are now public that I'm excited that we can talk about. The first thing that comes right up is the idea of integrating with e-commerce.
Yeah,
it's something that we do that very often with our projects. A lot of B2B e-commerce that's highly custom. So nothing like that we'd expect Kentico to release just like a basic like shopping cart that sells t-shirts. That's not what we're interested in.
Right.
We'd like the ability to still do commerce with maybe an enterprise class product that can handle custom checkouts and B2B pricing versus B2C pricing and role-based pricing, all the fancy things that you might have in B2B. And to know that Kentico's putting the effort and focus back on that commerce story helps us quite a bit because of the whole idea of, DXP and one solution to kind of handle a lot of needs. We want commerce in that one solution. And I know it's right now talked about in terms of integration with e-commerce, but previously, from like going back to like a year ago, listening to Dominic's vision and Debbie, we weren't necessarily sure about whether that was going to be on the roadmap in this year, right?
Yeah.
So having it be there now, having actually some discussions I think I've had with you and with other people in the product team, knowing that there is some focus being put on it, that's got me excited because it's a tool that we use often at BizStream.
Yeah. I think I think the idea is to enable e-commerce initially through integration and have that prove out some of the approach that would be used for native commerce in the product. And also you mentioned B2B, aligning with that being the primary use case, where maybe from my experience in the past, B2C commerce was about integrating with lots of services in kind of a standard way. So, you might have like a payment service and tax and fulfillment and warehouse and shipping and all these things. And it was all, kind of by the books. You check, and it integrates. You want your commerce to integrate with those and have a specific portfolio of integrations with those things. And you think of like Shopify, where you just go grab anything from the marketplace for them, and they have it for those standard types of connected services. Whereas B2B is much more about a customization of that commerce experience, whether it is checkout or, a specific service that's being used for determining shipping costs.
Right.
Where there's niche business rules that are specific to your client. And we want to make sure we, instead of providing you with, here's the integrations that you're going to use, making sure it's possible that you have all the right hooks in place where you can step in and define those business rules that are unique to your solution.
Right. In fact, we just had that with a large Kentico project we launched that we started working on over a year ago, actually. And it recently came out. They're a large kind of wireless TV cell phone provider. And if you think about when you go through that experience as a consumer trying to buy a cellular plan or a TV or internet plan at your house, think about like you typically have like all the cross sells, upsells of products that have those relationships. But also in this one, we had to do a very custom thing in terms of scheduling the home install right in the checkout process. Yeah. So nothing off the shelf is going to communicate with their internal APIs that they have for checking scheduling availability, checking is my address even a serviceable address. All those things are highly custom, and we did that with Kentico currently, and we're very happy with it. and we want to migrate that into Experience by Kentico in the future. So
Yep.
it's something that I wouldn't look for a Shopify to have off the shelf, but having the hooks, the abilities, the APIs, the objects of orders and customers, just having that accessible in Experience by Kentico will allow us to move that project, and we'd be excited about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, glad to hear that. Yeah, and that commerce, those commerce capabilities are on the roadmap, and hopefully they will turn up in a way that meet the expectations that you have. And kind of related to that idea, on the roadmap site, roadmap.kentico.com, there is a call to action in the top right corner where you can submit product ideas. And we actually use that insight to make sure that we are fulfilling the needs of our customers and our partners. And when we decide priorities on the roadmap, those are directly influenced by the feedback that we get, those product ideas. So the more people say, hey, I need commerce today, the higher that capability is moved in prioritization. Have you used that product feedback feature as part of the roadmap?
I like how it works, because you, as someone who is interested in that topic, you basically have like a couple choices of like, is this important? Is it critical? Or is it like not that high on my list of needs? So I like how you can kind of categorize your level of interest, and it only takes like 3 seconds. Like you can click it, give feedback. Even your name is optional. I think you can maybe write a message, and then it simply will validate your email after the fact that you're a real person, not a robot, and your feedback is there, right? So it's not like you have to like create a separate account, remember password, do all these other things. I like how easy it is to give feedback on the roadmap. Yeah, and I've done that in multiple steps. You'll see me on there.
Yeah, and I even do that myself. And I like that. Yeah, we have those 3 different tiers of importance for you when you're providing us with feedback. That way, we're not discouraging you from, oh, you just have an idea, just a thought about something that would be nice. You don't need it tomorrow, but hey, consider this if you are, if we're going to be producing something in that area, and you can mark that as nice to have. And that way, you can give us the feedback, and we can make sure that it's categorized and prioritized, but also realize that isn't the most important thing that you need right now.
Yep. And honestly, another thing on that roadmap, as I'm thinking about it, that does get me excited is the native taxonomy and categorization feature that's on there, and how that's upcoming. We've talked about this, I think, with the Kentico team for quite some time now, about how would it make sense to just kind of bring over what Kentico 13 had, or would it make more sense to start from scratch? And the start over and thinking of it as a new solution is the way I believe it was chosen. And I'm excited to see what you guys have for that, because I know for a lot of projects out there, having rich taxonomies, being able to categorize things in different ways, tag things, do whatever you want, that's a big sell to marketing teams. And I think it's something that I'd like to see very soon happen in the product. So that one's got me excited too. And I don't know if, Sean, if there's anything you can share about that to anyone who's listening.
Yeah, I can tell you I'm also very excited about it. I use a lot of the capabilities in the product when I am working on the Kentico community portal, which people can visit by going to community.kentico.com. And that portal is built on Xperience by Kentico. And as soon as we release new capabilities, I'm looking at those and trying to figure out how I can take advantage of those. And taxonomy is one that I have been looking forward to for quite a while. For people that are familiar with Kentico Xperience 13, I can say that it will feel familiar in Xperience by Kentico. So it's not something that's completely revolutionary and going to force you to think completely different about taxonomy than you ever have before. At the same time, we are treating it as a feature in the product that is appropriate for Xperience by Kentico, and taking advantage, taking opportunity that we have now to make it fit well and enhance it in ways that maybe we weren't able to before. So for anyone that's going to be, say, upgrading a Kentico Experience 13 solution to Experience by Kentico at some point in the future, and they want to make sure that their categories, their taxonomy in their current solution works in Experience by Kentico, no problem. There is a clear upgrade path to Experience by Kentico. That said, anyone that is starting brand new with Experience by Kentico and using our taxonomy feature, they're going to love it. It's going to give them all the flexibility and power they need to really treat taxonomy as a core part of content and the experiences that are driven through the various channels that they're creating. So it's going to be great for marketers that are working on the administration side. You can create taxonomies that are really only used for management, for content governance, for content organization, but you can also use them for that content presentation and delivery. And you can kind of separate those two and have your unique buckets of taxonomy for different purposes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think probably the other thing that I'm excited about would be the inclusion of marketing automation. Same idea, brand new tool set. It's going to be highly specific to what Experience by Kentico does, with like cross-site activity tracking and the other options that you have around contacts and activities and knowing what people are doing on your site and even across channels, right? To be able to understand where things are being submitted, if it's a form on a landing page to maybe a different site, if you have multiple branded sites in your installation, and understanding that you can use the market automation tool wherever that activity is happening across channels is something I'm excited for. I know it's pretty early on, I think, in the overall aspect of how market automation is going to come out. So I'm guessing there might be like a couple different pieces released instead of one kind of large giant inclusion. But is that accurate at all, Sean? Is there anything we know yet about how market automation is going to be implemented?
Yeah. Okay. So that actually has me thinking. Before I answer the core question there, you mentioned that it might be released in pieces, or there might be some initial marketing automation and then more. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really important idea for people to understand about Experience by Kentico compared to other products from other vendors that they might be familiar with, or Kentico's products in the past, where you might be used to these large releases that are on a regular annual, biannual cadence. And you mentioned at the beginning that you were excited about each one of these new refreshes that we have coming out that releases these new capabilities that align with what we're talking about on the roadmap and how these are happening regularly. Whereas in the past, you would get excited maybe once a year when we're talking about the big release. Now there's kind of that continual excitement. What's the next thing that's coming? It's only a month away. And also the idea that when we release something, it's not going to be the finished product, because this product is ever evolving. So none of these features is ever finished. The product is never finished. We're always evolving it and adapting it to meet the needs of our partners and our customers. And what that means is we might release marketing automation specifically in a way that it enables some core stories, some core capabilities that people have been asking about. And your specific use case might not be in there, but you might be able to adapt that use case to what we are enabling when we first launch it. And then the next month, your need might be in the list that you could then check off and say, okay, now it's handled because it's been enhanced. So that's kind of the way I like to think about it, is with each item on the roadmap, we enable partners and customers. And that might be, and this is something we can maybe talk about next. It might enable developers, it might enable marketers, it might enable administrators, but we first enable and then we enhance. So we start out with kind of the MVP, and that can be of different sizes for different types of features and capabilities. Some, it's okay to have something really small as the initial launch of that feature. Other things need to be a bit bigger to be valuable and really enable people. But we first want to enable you, and then we want to enhance that thing to tell and really allow you to enable or accomplish more of those stories, the things that you need to get done. And so, yeah, going into that idea, personas. When you look at the roadmap and you get excited about these things, uh, how do you think about those features and that excitement in terms of the different personas that are going to be impacted by those features? So, like I mentioned, we have developers, we have marketers, we have you in kind of a business and strategy position. Do you see those roadmap features hitting or targeting those different groups in different ways?
Yeah. So it definitely depends on which persona or group you fall into or segment you fall into, right? So if you're a developer, you might be listening to us and think, oh my gosh, so wait, I have a lot of updating to do and a lot of maybe thinking of it as like upgrades. And the neat thing there is the process to refresh or update your Experience by Kentico site is painless. I mean, I was talking to you this last week, Sean. I upgraded my blog project from 27 point something to 28.2, my local host instance, my dev site, and my production site, all in about an hour or less, because it's simple. It's updated NuGet packages. It's running a couple CLI commands. Obviously, you want to make sure you take a backup of your database, but it's not something that before would take us 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours or more, or
Yeah.
a full upgrade, could take weeks in the old days. So because of the modern solution, the updates are painless. They're easy. It's not something I worry about. And it's something that you can deliver to your clients pretty easily if you're that developer. So doing that allows you to get a hold and kind of try out these new features in stages, and see, like right now, like I have the reusable field schema feature. It's the first phase release of that, and I can actually understand how does that change my content modeling. I have to use the new content type, reusable content type generator to get the generated code for that, and how does that fit into my other types in code base that I have to worry about. So I don't have to worry about all 300 things that came with that or will come in. Like there's a phase 2 release plan that's going to add more complexity and more features to it. I can get started now. I can start thinking about it and planning on it, and I don't have to have this giant learning curve. So basically it's faster to try out the new features, and it's a little bit easier to wrap your mind around things.
Yeah. And so maybe as a developer, like you mentioned, you're concerned that, now I have lots of upgrades to do. They're going to be coming all the time. And there's 10 things in this update, in this refresh that I need to learn about in order to make sure that my solution is running correctly. But thankfully, if you are upgrading to this new version with reusable field schemas that we just released in January, nothing about your solution changes. Nothing breaks. There's a new capability in the product, and you can take advantage of that if you see value in it. And I think there's a lot of value in reusable field schemas as an example.
Mhm.
But if you don't take advantage of it day one, that's okay. You have a functioning, productive solution for a marketing team the version before, and you have the same thing the version after. And it's kind of up to you to pay attention to the roadmap, see what new things are going to be arriving in the product, strategizing how you can take advantage of those. But you also don't have to turn everything on day one. You can adopt those as you have time, as you have the use cases. And so I can understand how you feel this pressure to like, oh, there's 10 new things in the refresh and I need to turn on all of them. Otherwise, I'm doing it wrong. And let me tell you, no, that's not the case. Being aware of what's coming is important. That way you can make informed decisions about whether it is appropriate to suddenly, turn this thing on or design your content model to take advantage of reusable field schemas. You can only make that decision if you know what's coming in the roadmap.
Yep. Now, on the other side, of that original question around the other personas of if you're a marketer or business user of Experience by Kentico, I think that the incremental change, the constant updating, the thing that should excite you about that is the fact that you're going to get your hands on new features and new capabilities faster than you ever did before.
Yeah.
And there won't be this large lag time of, wait, how come I can't have the new CRM integration or the new search integration, or wait, how come my interface doesn't have this new filter capability? Like, for example, the Content Hub initially was released as a solid place to create headless content. And it didn't have all of the best filtering to get to search to find your content that well.
Yep.
But a release came out later, a different refresh, it added in that filtering capability. And now suddenly your interface is just easier to use. You can find content faster. You can sort it the way you want to. So that's just an example that, as a marketer, you're just going to see new things starting to appear. And of course, hopefully the team is keeping you aware of what these new things are. And there's not a giant amount of training, but there should be some communication on when new things are rolled out to your site. But yeah, I think it's just less dependency in IT, which is something our clients ask us for all the time.
Yeah. I that's a great point, because a marketer might look at the roadmap and they say, well, all this stuff looks great, but I need to wait until a development team has the time to turn all this stuff on, to code up, to make it work. And only then will I actually see it in my solution. And only then will I be able to benefit from it. Yes, that's true for some of the improvements that are being made to the product, but not all of them. There's a lot, like I think last month we added mass delete to the Content Hub. So you can see a list of content items, do a search for specific ones, filter those down. Maybe you have a list of 6, you check the box and it checks all of them. And then you can delete them all if you want to get rid of all those items instead of going to each one individually. That requires no developer intervention other than getting that update deployed out to your solution. They don't need to code up anything custom for that. You just get that as a marketer to make your life better. And we are releasing features just like that are turned on and ready to go day one every time we release a refresh.
Or, if you're using the new option of Xperience by Kentico SaaS, those refreshes might already be there without anything hardly. I mean, you might have to deploy one thing, but it's something that the advantage of running in that model is speed. It's speed. Yep. It's keeping things constantly updated. It's ease of use. So it's a good point if you're interested in any kind of like managed offering. And it's, I think, a benefit of, again, this whole brand new platform with Xperience by Kentico. You have that flexibility. Do you want to run it in your own self-hosted way, whether that's in Azure or your local data center or your machine, or do you want to use the managed offering with the SaaS ability that Xperience has? And it's, your choice.
Yeah, it's and you don't need to feel like you're missing out if you need to go the self-hosted route, whether that's on premises or your own self-hosted cloud environment. Perfectly fine. If you want to host in SaaS, there are some benefits there. And this is coming from someone who, worked on the partner side for 10 years. I managed Azure hosting for Kentico Solutions for 5 or 6 years. And now that Kentico Community Portal solution that I manage and update and enhance, that is running in our SaaS environment. And let me tell you, I love it. Having done all of that type of work and hosting management outside of the SaaS environment, these days, like you said, those Xperience by Kentico refreshes are very quick to apply. Sometimes it takes me all of 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then I just click a button and everything rolls out. I don't have to do anything else. I hand it off to the SaaS environment and it says, we got you, puts it in QA. I click around, even have some end-to-end tests running, automated tests to make sure everything works correctly. Looks good in QA, goes out to UAT, looks good there, goes out to production. The SaaS environment does a blue-green deployment to make sure that that solution comes up and it's running. So you don't lose any data and you can be confident that the deployment worked correctly and you're good to go. And, I won't say this too loudly, but I've even deployed to production and then headed off to the grocery store to get some groceries. Yep. Came back and everything looked good. And I even was able to check the deployment status on my phone while I was out.
Right. And taking off my kind of solution architect and client-facing hat and putting on my partner hat with Kentico, if you're a partner listening to this out there, think about this. If you want to leverage the managed offering through SaaS to be able to go faster, to start up a new project for a new client without having to wait for their IT team to spin up infrastructure, without having to wait for your team who's maybe on other projects, you literally can provision a SaaS environment in a matter of minutes, have access to it, log into the new Xperience portal, and you could deploy your starting point project that same day. So we're trying to look at that at BizStream as an advantage of, can we go faster internally? Can we skip that step of waiting for access to our client's server or access to our client's Azure tenant where, you got to go 3 rounds deep with security?
Yeah.
We just could start now and we don't have to wait. So we're excited to explore that option even further for just maybe temporary use to spin up our project for a client, get it going, and then when things are ready, we can move it to them or we can keep it there. It's just more flexibility.
Yeah, those are some great insights. A partner doesn't need to go all in on SaaS. They could have a majority of their solutions in whatever hosting environment their clients required and put a couple in SaaS. Try it out. See if there are some where that acceleration of completing a project, getting it deployed is really the high value point. Maybe other projects, it's more important to have a specific environment set up that's controlled by an IT team. Okay, that's cool. But if the advantages of SaaS make sense for a project, you can just do it with one.
Yep.
So we're talking about the roadmap and we're talking about new features that are coming out. And we've talked about these different personas, and specifically developer persona and marketer persona. How does the company or business strategist persona work into this? Like, you're talking about the things that you're excited about and how they enable maybe specific projects that you're responsible for or involved in. But there's also probably, I would imagine, a layer where you kind of move up a step and you're someone that's responsible for commercial success of your partner, your agency, and you look at the roadmap and you might have a different perspective on it or different things come to mind. Do you have any insights there?
Yeah, I think that one I'll take too as an often a task that you're responsible for as a strategist is to understand the roadmap of the digital solutions that you're putting together for your clients or your own teams, right? And at what point will I have access to this thing? Or if I need to accomplish this goal, what tool do I need to use? And is that this quarter? Is that this year? Is it next year? So using the roadmap can at least maybe give me some insight into like, oh, so actually on here, there might be like a CRM card of we're moving to integration with some CRM or enhancing that integration. And I know that that's on my roadmap for maybe not this quarter, but next quarter. So, I would use it from a where in the timeline can I expect these things so that I can best educate my end clients for how to meet their goals with Xperience by Kentico. Other than that, specific things on the roadmap that get me excited as maybe that strategy person, I think it kind of maybe comes down to one that we thought might be there already, but it's the whole transferring data between environments item. And knowing that a lot of our projects have multiple environments, and can I make that easier so that I can have marketing teams synchronize content between environments or move things, and I can let go of my development resources on that task. So that one kind of comes to mind in terms of pretty important for knowing when we can expect to free up our marketing teams or business teams to basically work across environments without any other resources.
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard a lot of feedback that the transferring content between environments is a key capability, and lots of people are looking for that to be released. I will say I am as well. So hopefully we'll all see that, coming up here soon. I imagine that when you look at those roadmap features from that business strategic perspective, you're looking at some of them from the perspective of there's opportunities out there, there's potential new clients, or maybe brand new projects at existing clients that you have relationships with, they want to launch. And there's some dependency there on the roadmap where someone doesn't want to start a new solution until workflow is in the product, which it will be in a couple weeks here. They want content management, authoring, publishing workflows, and that's a deal breaker for them. And so you're looking at the roadmap and you're saying, all right, this this engagement with this client is completely dependent on this thing. That's new business and new opportunity. That's really important for us. But then there's, like, I think you mentioned, there's also situations where you have existing relationships. Maybe you already have a solution deployed, an Xperience by Kentico solution deployed in production. You know, you're working with the client, you're enhancing it, and they talk about integrating with CRM. You know, it would be nice if we could integrate with CRM. And you're doing the cost analysis in your head and saying, okay, they want to do this. I want to enable it for them. It's part of their marketing strategy. How much is this going to cost? And today you might say, you know what? I don't see a way to make this work in a way that's going to meet their MVP requirements and also be cost efficient. But then the refresh comes out, or there's something on the roadmap that says CRM integration, CRM starter kit, something like that. And you go, you know what? That makes the math work. And so that allows you to have a conversation with that client about that opportunity that they were hoping to do sometime in this quarter.
Right.
Has that been your experience to kind of see it from those different perspectives?
Yeah, I mean, I would answer it maybe slightly different. So, like, one of the things that you're doing as that strategist is maybe looking at where is our current stack at, and where are we spending on digital tools? You know, do we have too many things, and can we consolidate them into one kind of platform that does multiple things? And that's where Xperience by Kentico can shine. I think it's where it's going by adding in, you know, commerce, as we've talked about. I mean, we should probably address the elephant in the room. It's 2024. AI is a part of that roadmap, and how Kentico is going to leverage different types of AI features into Xperience by Kentico. That's definitely exciting as a strategist, because maybe I can get rid of a marketing automation tool that we don't need because now marketing automation is in the platform. Or can I get rid of a separate, let's just say, other CMS site that has this other channel for 5 pages? Can we consolidate that? Can we spin up a new channel in Xperience by Kentico? Can we share content more efficiently across channels? As we said before, can we track behavior across channels? So I think consolidation is something that is a simple answer for where some of these roadmap items can allow you to think, okay, at this point, I can sunset this tool or that tool because now Xperience by Kentico will have it. And I'll just say AI 3 more times. AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Actually, you know, that's fantastic insight, because it isn't just about expanding a Kentico solution to integrate with everything out there. Sometimes the real win is that consolidation and simplification and cost savings and improving a marketer's workflow, because they're not jumping between 3 or 4 different products or 3 or 4 different solutions out there. So I think that's good to kind of take a step back and make sure you're not just looking at, okay, how can I point Xperience by Kentico at this and this and this and build all those integrations? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's definitely a tricky position to be in our world in digital transformation, right? We have so many tools out there, so many different things we could do. Typically, our customers have lots of existing requirements to work with, or pieces of their stack. How do you know what's the right one? But by having a roadmap, by having insight into where the product is going, and knowing that it's going to be delivered in increments that add value, I think that's super critical. It's part of the reason why we love using Xperience by Kentico at BizStream.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So as one kind of final question to wrap this all up, you're a Kentico MVP. You are on the cutting edge of everything that we're doing. You are kind of on the cutting edge of, I'd say, MarTech and digital experience products and opportunities in general. So I would expect you to know what's on our roadmap, what types of opportunities are out there. But your whole team is not a team of all MVPs that are able to spend as much time as you are keeping track of these things. So when you do see something on the roadmap, or when you are checking in on it, or maybe communicating with us about new features or capabilities that we'll be delivering, or our strategy around that, how do you communicate that to your team? Or maybe they do go and check out the roadmap every week and take a look at it. What are you doing, and how does your team work with that type of information?
Yeah, I I wish they were checking it each week, Sean. Trust me, I really wish that they were. They're not. So how do we share information about where Kentico's going with our teams is a broad question. It's done in many answers. One thing we do is we actually have some automation to the RSS feeds that Kentico.com has for changes and updates, and that appears in our in a Slack channel automatically each time a new hotfix or rollout of those things happen. So we're aware of some things. We even have some fun things that will scan the description and watch for any security issues, because we definitely want our teams to be aware of security issues, and it elevates the Slack message to a bigger channel. So we try to communicate that in Slack, is a short way to say what I just said. And when new features come out that I think will add a lot of value to our client base, I definitely will share it personally in the whole company Slack to let people know. We do lunch and learns is another answer, where we will have not myself, but a dev stand up and talk about this feature that they just used on a project in the platform. We do lunch and learns where we bring someone from your team in, and maybe, you coming to our office here soon, Sean, to actually, share some information. We're sending some of our teams to some of the training that Kentico's offering to make them aware of where the product is going and what they can do. We follow the conferences that Kentico has and watch what kind of information is being shared there. And then we'll take that and we'll do that as a company presentation back to our company on top of the normal weekly meeting that we do. So you have to share it often to keep people up to date, because there is so much that is changing. We also like to make sure that our devs are certified. So we keep someone who's in charge of making sure that the certifications are up to date each month as time goes on, because they do expire after some time. So there's a lot of things that we do. Obviously, from an MVP standpoint, when I'm doing a blog post or a podcast, I'm sharing that in an email list to our company. I'm sharing it to some of our customers. We're trying to use that content as much as we can for educational purposes. And then, honestly, I share it with the community. I put it on my blog. I'll put it in the community Slack, as we said at the very beginning, and try to make not just BizStream aware of it, but other people aware of it. Our clients, the people in the community, Kentico themselves. We try to handle this in many different ways.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm understanding, it's not just about our communication to you or to your agency about things that are coming out. Obviously, that's important, and having the roadmap available for people to go and see, that's important. But there's also an internal communication aspect of it, of training and education, and just using any opportunity or information stream that is out there to make sure that people are aware of what's going on and see the opportunities.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, Brian, I want to say thanks for spending some time today to dig into this topic of upcoming features and the roadmap and how those fit into BizStream strategy. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Anytime, Sean. Thanks for having me. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about, and we have a time limit of lunch. Otherwise, I would keep going for sure.
Totally understand. Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.